Hi, California Attorney General candidate Michael Gates. How you doing, sir?
Good, really good. Thank you for having me.
Can you introduce yourself to our audience first?
Sure. So my name is Michael Gates. I'm a lifelong resident of Huntington Beach. So I've been in California pretty much my whole life. I was born in the Midwest, but moved here when I was a small child with my family. I've been married for almost 30 years. I have five kids and four grandkids. I started my legal career in private practice, and that's where I cut my teeth as a trial attorney. So I did a number of cases in private practice for firms for different clients, including the Orange County Sheriff's Department, where I defended Orange County Sheriff's deputies when they were sued for doing their job. I would take their cases to trial. Became partner at that law firm,
Mhm.
and I decided to leave private practice and go in and to run for elected office. So that's when I ran for city attorney of Huntington Beach in 2014. I got elected in 2014 as the city attorney of Huntington Beach, and then I was reelected in 2018 and again in 2022. And then in the middle of my term in 2025, I resigned from my post so that I could go back to Washington, D.C. and work at the United States Department of Justice, where I worked in the Civil Rights Division for almost a year. And then I resigned from there and came home so that I could jump in this race and run for Attorney General. So I've
Hmm.
been very blessed with a great family, very blessed with a great legal career. I'm sure you're going to have some questions, but you probably know I made a lot of headlines in Huntington Beach by
Yeah.
fighting some of the battles that I fought, whether it was voter ID, fighting for our police, fighting crime, and making Huntington Beach one of the safest cities. So just a variety of great work during my time as city attorney.
Yeah. I think Huntington Beach has been always on the forefront
Yeah.
fighting against this bureaucracy,
Yes.
this I mean, they're a super majority party, and
Yeah.
it has been a very frustrating endeavor for Republicans, and not just Republicans, independents and moderate people here.
Yeah.
And that's why even a lot of my friends really left California a lot the past decade. And
Yeah.
it's been I mean, it's been horrendous, especially during the lockdowns.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that, I have been following you actually, fighting against this bureaucracy. You know, a lot of my viewers has raised questions about election integrity issues, like in
Yeah.
California, especially even, I mean, she's my friend, and now she's the ambassador to South Korea, Michelle Steele, and also her husband, Sean Steele. I
Yeah.
remember, uh, I think, yeah, 4 years ago, a couple years ago, when she had an election, as when she was a congresswoman, they counted the vote for 22 days
Yeah.
after the election.
Yeah.
And then she finally lost. She was ahead like almost 20 days. And, it was just ridiculous. They were just finding ballots.
Yeah.
It looked like voter fraud to me. And so many of my viewers are questioning the election system, and they're very
Yeah.
worried whether their votes are really being counted and whether they're
Yeah.
just creating these fake votes. What say you to that, sir?
Well, there are a lot of issues, not only throughout the state of California, but across the nation. We know that Bill Asaley, who works for the Department of Justice in the Central District here in California, is suing at least investigating at this point, and he may be bringing indictments. We'll see in his investigations in Los Angeles with regard to the June primary, specifically the mayor's race where Spencer Pratt lost. And so we see the DOJ taking action against counties over elections, and then also the Department of Justice. Including last year when I was working at the Department of Justice, I was the one that sued California for violating federal elections laws. So there are a number of issues, but what I will tell you is it doesn't appear to be statewide coordinated. It looks like it's more local, county by county. Michelle Steele's county then, and now we're looking at LA. And what we need in California is an attorney general who will actually take this issue seriously. So the current attorney general, Rob Bonta, hates election integrity
Yeah.
measures. He doesn't want to hear anything about election integrity concerns. In fact, you probably know he shut down an investigation brought by the Riverside Sheriff, Chad Bianco, into the special election for Prop 50 last year. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco just wanted to investigate, and now Rob Bonta's trying to shut it down. Why? Because he doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't want to pursue the truth. So he shuts down investigations into election integrity. If I was the attorney general right now, I would be investigating the election in Los Angeles. I would want to get to the bottom of what happened with Spencer Pratt's
It's ridiculous.
election for mayor, where he was in a commanding lead, at least in second place, but commanding well over third place on election night. And then we saw that lead evaporate in the later counting post-election. So there are questions and concerns. I'm not jumping to conclusions as to what happened. I'm certainly not screaming from the rooftops that it's fraud. But when people who know math and know statistics say that that's a statistical improbability, it certainly warrants a look, right? An investigation. And so why he's not doing that, no one knows. I can tell you that if I were Attorney General, I would be certainly investigating. It's important to the people. And even if your investigation leads, the facts go where you're going to be led to where the facts are, right? The facts are the facts. And if it leads you to the conclusion that everything was above board and there was nothing nefarious and there was nothing wrong with either the election or the counting thereafter, then you announce that, right? Like then you do the investigation so that you can announce that. But to do no investigation at all and deliberately stick your head in the sand it's weird, frankly. It's just strange. So election integrity is an issue. I do think that we can have good elections in California still, even notwithstanding. What it requires, though, is running up the score. We need to make it too big to rig. I can tell you, too, that in the June primary, I received almost 3.4 million votes in the June primary, which is more votes for a Republican candidate in a primary election
Yeah. I was
frankly, in
surprised.
the history, in the history of the country, frankly, no Republican candidate in a primary in a statewide race has ever gotten more votes. So there are some glimmers of hope and some glimmers for optimism, even though we see elections like the one in LA go the way they went. So people need to have hope in the election system. They need to go out and run up the score, and they need to vote, and they need to get their friends and neighbors to vote, because if we make it too big to rig, then we can outpace any wrongdoing, any amount of fraud. We can outpace that, but we need to be active and engaged.
That's how President Trump won back in 2024. I mean, he
That's right.
always emphasized too big to rig. We
Right.
know that they're going to rig it, the Democratic Party. And I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but I think it's just nonsense what has been going
Yeah.
on. They have been increasing mail-in voting dates, especially with 2020 during the lockdown, and we all know that we
Right.
never knew the result until a month later. So it's ridiculous. And what happened to Spencer Pratt? It's unbelievable. We even saw Nithya Raman for the CD4 councilwoman. I mean, we even saw her giving pretty much a concession speech that night
Yeah.
and crying.
Yeah.
And then for that to be flipped like that, and you have these mail-in votes pretty much going to the Democratic, party, just one-way street. It's just a very frustrating. And
Yeah.
I just feel in my guts there's something really fishy going on.
Yeah.
And the problem is there's no auditing here.
Yeah.
But you think it could be fixed somehow? I mean,
Well, I know that when I'm Attorney General, it can be fixed, because on the one hand, I'm going to investigate every single complaint of election irregularity. I'm literally going to do what Bill O'Saley is doing. And if there's a indication of voter fraud or anything that's untoward, I'm going to investigate it. If that means a dozen investigations, fine. If it means 10 dozen investigations, fine. I'm going to be investigating. So that's one issue. The other issue is the Attorney General is the top law enforcement officer in the state of California and the chief legal advisor for all state agencies. So I'm the one that basically is to communicate to registrar voters and to county clerks what it looks like to be compliant with state elections laws. There actually are state laws on the books that are there designed for election integrity, and we're not even following all of the state laws on the books. So I'm going to be there as the enforcer to ensure that we're complying with all state laws. And then moreover, when it comes to federal law compliance, the federal government does have a seat at the table when it comes to elections and voting and things like that in California at the state level. They do have a seat at the table, and there are federal elections laws, the 1993 National Voter Registration Act, and also the 2002 Help America Vote Act. These are federal statutes that are designed to ensure election integrity, ensure voter registration process, ensure that there's list maintenance when it comes to the voter rolls. And so These are things out there. These are authorities out there, and yet California is not compliant with federal law. That's why when I was with the DOJ last year, we
No.
sued California
Yeah.
because of for lack of compliance. So
Mm.
I can ensure compliance with federal law as well. So if elected or when elected, yes, there's a whole bunch of stuff I can do to improve the our election system in the state of California and ballot counting and ensuring that investigations ensue where warranted. So
Mm.
yes, absolutely.
That's why I think President Trump, I mean, you worked under his administration, so
Hmm.
you know it better, but that's why he wants to have this Save America Act go through
Hmm.
and get rid of the filibuster and, and make it intact. We don't know what's going on. I mean, what's going to happen regarding that. But if that does get implemented, if the Save America Act does get implemented, does it only include California federal elections and not other statewide elections?
Yes, well,
The law?
it is for federal
Okay.
elections, but here's the thing, our entire system is set up so that the federal and the state and the local are all combined on the same ballot and as part
Hmm.
of the same process. So if there's a
Hmm.
change in the federal system, by implication, there will be a change in the state system.
Hmm.
We do need in California, we do need our statewide voter ID initiative that is going to be on the ballot in November. We need that to pass. That's an
Hmm.
important
Hmm.
big step for election integrity. And so, if anybody out there is wondering, is help on the way? Yes, there is help on the way. It's Prop 39 for
Hmm.
voter ID. I've already been posting about it on my social media. So if we can get myself elected and then also get voter ID passed, then California is going to be definitely on the right track. Here's a warning, though, too. Imagine if Rob Bonta gets reelected and voter ID passes. If voter ID becomes the law of the land in November because the will of the voters, they voted to adopt voter ID, and then voter ID as the law of the land gets challenged in court for whatever reason, whatever, constitutional reasons or whatever, then it's up to the attorney general to show up in court and defend that law.
Hmm.
Rob Bonta has already made it known that he hates election integrity measures. He hates voter ID. He came to Huntington Beach and sued Huntington Beach when it adopted a voter ID law. So he hates voter ID or voter ID, but also election integrity. So he's not going to show up to court to defend that law when it becomes the law of the land. So, and what happens then? The law fails. The law will fail. And we know this because it happened with Prop 8
Hmm.
under Kamala
Hmm.
Harris
Hmm.
over 10 years ago when the Traditional Marriage Act, a man plus a woman, it was passed by the voters at the ballot
It
box.
was passed all the time.
It
And
was
I mean, the
passed.
voters
Yes.
never were against it. And,
Right.
I mean, somehow these judges on the circuit ninth district, they always flip it around, these
Yeah.
clown judges. And we're so angry about that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about even Democrats are angry about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the ones who supported gay marriage,
Yeah.
they think that it was wrong
Well,
how it was enacted.
and a lot of what I say out on the campaign trail has appealed to Republicans, independents, and Democrats alike, Democrats, independents, and Republicans, because a lot of these are just kitchen table issues. And like you said, these are concerns, these are cares about all voters. These are like 70-30 issues, as they say, or 80-20
Right. It's an
issues. So
80-20 issue. Yeah.
it's an 80-20 issue. Watch, voter ID is going to pass overwhelmingly in November. And yet, let's see what happens if Bonta gets reelected, what his response is going to be. It's not going to be good for the people
Hmm.
of California. But that's why I've got a lot of support right now. There's just been
Yeah.
an outpouring of
Hmm.
support.
Hmm.
Donations are coming in, endorsements are lining up. And that's why I performed so well in the June
Yeah.
primary,
Yeah.
because Californians know that we need a change with the Attorney General's office.
You got you got over 41%, right? In the primaries.
Initially 41%, and then with some late counting, I lost a couple percentage points. But the point is with the high number that I got, nearly 3.4 million, that's massive, and that's way more votes. They say that's 800,000. I haven't done the math myself, but I'm told that's 800,000 more votes than registered Republicans who voted. So I'm appealing to independents and Democrats as well, which is why I think Bonta's afraid.
How many days did it take? I remember the last time around, it took 22 days. I think
Yeah,
Michelle Steele's election was
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
last
yeah,
election.
yeah.
How many days did it take? I don't even, I kind of lost count.
It,
And I
it was
don't,
about it was another 22 days ish. Yeah, it happened again. Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. And I
yeah.
think this is just an outrage, and we're so angry about it. I think that's one of the main, a lot of, I mean, that's one of the main reason why people are just leaving here in droves. I mean,
Yeah.
California is just like this clownish place where, I mean, we have Florida that can immediately count in one day. South Korea finishes in, a half day, all
Hmm.
their vote, like
Yeah.
almost like 30 million votes. And
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. I mean, it's just do you personally believe that non-citizens vote? I mean, personally, what do
Oh,
you
100,
think in California?
100%. Yeah, non-citizens vote. 100%. I know it to be true firsthand. I know it to be true 100%. And we saw that, even pets vote, right?
Yes,
We saw
yes.
the dog Maya in Orange County,
Uh-huh.
California, registered to vote,
Ridiculous.
and actually that dog had been registered to vote for 6 years,
Wow.
and was submitted a vote on two different election cycles. So we know that. Look, the way the voter registration works in California is anybody can walk into a DMV or even go online and apply for a driver's license, and they just
Yeah.
start clicking a bunch of boxes, and then suddenly they're registered to vote too. And that's just not what should happen. That's not what the federal law requires. The National Voter
Mhm.
Registration Act requires that the states verify the eligibility of voters.
Mhm.
Verify the eligibility of voters necessarily too means proof of citizenship, because it's a crime to vote if you're not a citizen. It's a federal crime. So all of the pieces are there for election integrity and proper voter registration. But what the state of California does is they simply just put up a bunch of touch screens or clicks online, and then
Yeah.
people end up registering to vote without verification. And the state doing that is not affirmatively verifying the eligibility of voters. So there's a lot of problems with our process here in California, and these are the things that I plan to tackle on day one.
Uh-huh. And is it true that LA County still uses that Venezuelan machine, Smartmatic?
So, yeah, I'm not sure. I've heard Dominion is also Venezuelan, so I don't know exactly what. I'm not in LA, so I don't know their election
This is an
systems.
outrage too. The last
Yeah,
time I checked, they still use it, and I think
yeah,
why do we have to use voting machine? I think Venezuela. We all know that it's the center, the mecca of voter fraud
yeah,
globally, and why
yeah,
are we still using it? I mean,
yeah,
it's just that just goes to show how ridiculous this whole thing is, and
yeah,
I think this is the number one issue that a lot of Asian community,
yeah,
including Korean American community, is facing because that's
yeah,
all the questions that they have, especially regarding Spencer Pratt. I think
yeah.
people were really angry about the result, and so when is it true? So I think you know it best. Then Trump Trump administration was asking the voter rolls from California, right?
Right.
But Gavin Newsom refused to show it. And did President Trump cut off some budgets to California because of that, right?
So related to the voter rolls, so that's still there are still moving parts. There's still a process
Okay.
for that. So I'm not sure what's the current state of that. But yes, there were threats.
Mhm.
And there's frankly, with the executive order issued by Trump, basically requiring that if states are going to allow mail-in ballots to go through the United States Postal Service, then they're also going to have to divulge their voter rolls. So the issue with the state is that they don't want the federal government to know actually who is on their voter
That's
rolls
ridiculous.
by having to reveal personal identifying information like a social security number or a driver's license number. So states are balking at that. But the problem is, under the Civil Rights Act, but also the Federal Voter Registration Act and HAVA, the Help America Vote Act,
Hmm.
the Attorney General of the United States has a duty to enforce those statutes. And it means ensuring that states are maintaining their voter rolls. Well, the only way to prove that is to actually be able to inspect who's on the list, who are on the rolls. And if the states are basically hiding the ball and playing cover up, then there's no way to verify that states are engaging in their federal obligation to maintain their voter lists.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a weird situation, a weird conflict that the federal government and the state governments are having. But it's true. And it's unfortunate because the
Yeah.
states should readily be willing to offer up their voter rolls with identifying information so that, frankly, either the public or the attorney general can verify that the voter rolls are properly maintained and that people who shouldn't be on the voter rolls do not appear on the voter rolls.
Yeah.
And so that's a big issue.
And it's still illegal to show your ID when you vote, right? Gavin Newsom
In
made it that way, right?
Yeah, under AB 1174,
Hmm.
it was a law, newly enacted law in 2024, might have been early 2025, to basically ban local cities from having for requiring ID
Hmm.
upon voting. Yeah,
And
it's
Gav
crazy.
and Gavin Newsom also threatened to prosecute people who abide by the federal law or
Right.
anything, whether that's the Trump
Oh
administration wants
yeah.
to investigate, the
Oh
the
yeah.
the DOJ office wants to
Oh
investigate.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so people don't know which law to follow now, people who are living in California
Yeah.
who are working in this uh area.
Yeah.
What say you to that? I mean, should,
Well, that's why we need an attorney general. We are lawless in California right now because Rob Bonta is just a pure
he's a
politician.
crazy man.
He's just a politician. Like
Uh-huh.
literally, this guy I don't think has ever stepped foot in a courtroom. He spent 10 years in the legislature before he was appointed as our attorney general because the seat was vacated
Yeah.
because Becerra went to work for the Biden administration. So Newsom seized the opportunity and put Bonta in as RAG by appointment. And since then, he really hasn't been functioning as a lawyer. He's been
Mhm.
functioning as a politician.
Mhm.
So that's why we're so lawless in California. And that's why we need an attorney general, somebody who's in there and actually doing their constitutional duty under the California Constitution to function and operate as the top law
Mhm.
enforcement officer in the state of California and the
Mhm.
chief legal counsel.
Mhm.
And so when I'm attorney general, absolutely, we are going to
Yeah.
comply with all federal laws and we're going to enforce all state laws.
Yeah, I think he was a DEI hire, and a lot of Asian Americans did vote for him because he was Asian, and they didn't know, the specifics
Yeah.
of it. But
Yeah.
now I think a lot of people are turning, away from it. A lot of Democrats are, and they can't believe what he's, you know, um, proposing, and a lot of my audience, they're also very angry about this Title IX issues and
Yeah.
also transgender that
Yep.
these. So when I go to schools here, my kids' schools, they have like rainbow marks all over the place and BLM and all these, left-wing
Mhm.
agenda. I mean, it's like brainwashing right in
Yeah.
front of us.
Yeah.
And we also saw the news that happened, parents in Texas, I think I forgot their name, but that one of the kid wanted to change their original biological sex.
Hmm.
And I think the mom supported that idea, and the mom brought the boy to here in, I think, LA County.
Hmm.
And then I don't know what happened afterwards. I think he did do those uh, I don't know, mutilate, I mean the process,
Hmm.
getting these hormone
Yeah.
blockers, and
Yeah.
it's is this, is it illegal for the parents to know?
So it's not, so no, there's a lot to unpack there. So there's Title IX and then there's the trans
Yeah.
issue. On the parents' right to know, there was that new state law in 2024 called AB 1955.
Hmm.
And that was a new state law that mandated that teachers keep secrets from parents with regard to their children's gender
It's
transition
crazy.
issues. Okay, but check this out. So at that time, I presented to my city council in the city of Huntington Beach a declaration that Huntington Beach become a parents' right to know
Hmm.
city, and then we
Hmm.
adopted that. And then more than that, I sued the state of California, challenging AB 1955 as unconstitutional. Not only did the federal court uphold that, but then the Ninth Circuit just confirmed that
Wow,
ruling
that's great.
and maintaining an injunction against the enforceability of AB 1955. That's incredible. And that the plaintiff in that lawsuit's the city of Huntington Beach. So that was my work there. We protected parents and children in Huntington Beach. But on Title IX, Title IX is a federal statute.
Yeah.
And so when I tell you over and over that we're going to be federal law compliant in the state of California when I'm Attorney General, this is what I mean. Title IX as well. We are going to be Title IX compliant up and down the state of California. We're going to protect our young girls in sports and
Hmm.
education, period.
Hmm.
And if schools don't do it, I will sue them. So that's that
Hmm.
on Title IX. But then when it comes to the trans issue specifically, you may know this too, that Rob Bonta, our Attorney General, has been suing hospitals, including a
Yeah.
children's hospital, to force them to perform trans surgeries on
Ridiculous.
minors. And what I have already promised to my audiences when I'm out on the campaign trail is on day one of my first acts after being sworn in is to dismiss those lawsuits against hospitals, including the Children's Hospital. I'm going to dismiss those lawsuits. We are not going to force. We're going to get out of the business, and we're going to pull back on forcing hospitals, including like I said, the Children's Hospital, to force them to perform mutilation surgeries. In fact, I'm going to go further than that, and I'm going to issue a press release to the entire medical community that if you mutilate a child, I will criminally
Hmm.
prosecute you. So
Right on.
when it comes to protecting our children from mutilations, when it comes to protecting our girls in sports and education, all of the above, I am going to take care of it. I already have a plan. I'm going to do it on day one. And as the city of Huntington Beach, I've already done it in some small way.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we've been working hard to protect kids.
Yeah, I mean, I really applaud you for that. This is actually hurting the Korean American community too, because I actually investigated about this as a journalist. And years ago, when I was a news director for Radio Korea, so I've been in the news industry for like 25 years,
Hmm.
and I mean, I met one principal there, and she told me that one of the number one issue among Korean American students is the gender identity and trans issue.
Hmm.
That 3 or 4 out of 10 kids are struggling with this, and they don't even want to tell their parents because Korean Americans, they're kind of conservative in their
Hmm.
value, not
Hmm.
necessarily always voting Republican. I mean,
Right.
they vote more Democrat, I think,
Right.
here in California. But regarding this gender issue, they're definitely conservative. They don't want
Yeah.
their
Yeah. Yeah.
kids to be mutilated,
Yeah.
and it's just unheard of. And
Well,
this is the one single issue why a lot of Democrats are
yeah.
not voting them anymore. I'm
And
talking.
we have our school systems that actually have an agenda
Yeah.
to bring this issue of trans or LGBTQ, whatever it is, to the children in their youth, to influence them. And there's no reason for that, right? Like
Hmm.
every kid goes through stuff.
Yeah.
Every kid goes through
Hmm.
stuff. And there are a lot of little girls who,
Hmm.
they're tomboys for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They don't need
Right.
to be told by their
Uh-huh.
teachers or their school counselors that maybe they're a boy. What they need is to be left alone, and then they can continue to grow and develop and age. And then when they reach the age of maturity, when they reach 18, 19,
Hmm.
20 years old, then they can make their important life decisions for
Hmm.
themselves,
Hmm.
right? And they can have informed consent, not,
Hmm.
beyond the undue influence of school counselors and teachers when they're young and impressionable. So, we need to be protecting our children. I'm a strong advocate for that. I've got 5 kids of my own, as I said, and 4 grandkids.
Hmm.
By the way, my daughter-in-law is Filipino, and so I have four
Uh-huh.
Filipino grandchildren.
Hmm.
So,
Great. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So,
And they're
so
very conservative about this issue too. I mean,
yes,
most of the Asians, I would say this is like 90-10 issue.
yeah, yeah. I agree, and Latinos as well.
Yep, you're right.
Latinos as
Even
well.
Latinos too. They are sick and tired of this.
They're sick and tired of this. So, yeah. So we look, people, I think, may be underestimating the importance of the Attorney General's race.
Hmm.
There's a whole lot I can do on day one. And everything that we've talked about, I can tell you everything we've just talked about, I can do on day one with or without a friendly and supportive governor, with or without a friendly and supportive legislature. These are all responsibilities that I have under
Yeah.
the California Constitution.
Yeah, and I think, it's kind of heartwarming to hear that the Ninth Circuit, District Court, I mean, that was like a clownish court, but it is kind of getting better, right? Like you said, it confirmed
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the issue. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but they were the one. I mean, one of the reason why I was against gay marriage back in the day was, I mean, I have gay friends too, but I
Hmm.
thought that it would be like a slippery slope. They
Hmm.
wouldn't stop there. The
Hmm.
left would keep on pushing the, goalpost, and then now it's
Right.
we go to this transgender issue, and I
Right.
think it was their plan all along.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah, and so anyway, other than these issues, I think there's also another one, Proposition 36. Is this being enacted? The voters voted for it, but I'm not sure whether it's being implemented
It's
because we know
not,
that
yeah.
most of I mean, they hold 2/3, right?
Right.
In their legislature, and
Yeah.
so I don't know whether it's being implemented properly.
No, we need to enforce Prop 36 on day one of my administration with or without funding. We're going to get it enforced. People may know, well, they should know that the Attorney General has purview over all 58 sheriff's departments and all 58
Hmm.
district attorneys' offices. So when I say we're going to enforce Prop 36 on day one, I mean it. It's going to happen. But
Okay.
let me tell you something else. I'm going to go further than that. The reason we even have Prop 36, which is a band-aid for the passage of Prop 47 and
Yep.
57 over
Yep.
10 years
Yeah.
ago, is is the reason we even have it is because crime was so high that the voting public got like really, really upset with what's going on in our society.
Hmm.
But it's because of Prop 47, 57, and AB 109. When I am in office, I am going to work to get a new ballot measure on the ballot in 2028 to repeal Prop 47 and
Great.
57 and reverse AB 109
Hmm.
because I trust the voting public with public safety at this point more than
Hmm.
I trust our legislature.
Me too.
So I am going to advocate that the people of California have an opportunity to weigh in on this and actually repeal Prop 47 and repeal Prop 57 and reverse AB 109. And then we won't need Prop 36 anymore.
Okay. Is George Soros still spending a lot of money in California? We know that he was pumping a lot of money and
Yeah,
then he put in like George Gascon and
yeah,
all these ridiculous
yeah.
county
We,
district attorneys and
yeah,
Chesa Boudin in San Fran and the
yeah,
carjacking. San
yeah, yeah,
Francisco
yeah,
was horrendous.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I had my friends who never, decided never to go to San Francisco because I have a friend who went there 4 times, and every single time he got carjacked there.
Yeah. Well, check this out. So Rob Bonta, who's running for re-elections out there, touting that crime is down, and obviously he's relying on self-reported data from his own California Department of Justice. This is self-reporting, and so he's trying to push out that message. But what he is overlooking is according to FBI data on violent crime,
Hmm.
California is one of the most dangerous
I
states to
think it
live
is.
in.
Yeah.
It's ranked sixth highest in the
Hmm.
nation on violent crime. So we see violent crime everywhere. It's because, like I said, Rob Bonta's lawless. He just does not take his job seriously, and he doesn't care. I say this on social media. It's pretty bold, but it's true. I think he hates everyday Californians. He hates us
That's what
because
I think.
he just doesn't lift a finger. He doesn't care. All of the crime and all of the corruption that we're experiencing in the state of California, I think people have been sort of like conditioned or trained to think like, well, it is what it is. We have to live with it. No, we don't. I made Huntington Beach one of the safest cities in the
I
state of
know. Yeah.
California out of nearly 500 because I enforced the laws that are on the books. These are the same laws available to Rob Bonta, yet he refuses to enforce them for other jurisdictions. Yet I did it in Huntington Beach, and we were just aggressive. We were zealous. We were emphatic about making sure that Huntington Beach was safe, and it worked. We literally are one of the safest cities in the entire state of
I
California out
know.
of nearly 500 cities. So, look, the proof is there. Like, I was already extremely effective in making Huntington Beach safe. And if anyone of your audience is thinking, well, it's easy to make a little beach town safe because it's small and obscure. No, Huntington Beach is the 23rd largest city in the state of California out of nearly 500. It has 200,000 residents and
Hmm.
15 million visitors a year. So if there was ever a city that had the
Right.
potential for high crime after Prop 47 and 57, it would have been Huntington Beach.
Hmm.
Yet we didn't let that happen. We were tough on crime and we enforced the criminal laws.
Yeah. And I remember during the lockdown time, I didn't get vaccinated. It was really difficult as an
Mm.
unvaccinated reporter to report here and there. And I
Yeah.
remember in Huntington Beach, I read it in the Epoch Times article that it said that there was one restaurant who just w welcomed unvaccinated,
Yeah.
patrons. Do you
Yeah.
remember that?
Yeah, and Huntington Beach pushed back not only on the
Yeah.
vaccine mandates, but the mask mandates.
Yep. Yep.
And then I actually sued Newsom because he came down to Huntington Beach and locked down our beaches. He
Mhm.
literally brought down armed state troopers and
Wow.
concrete
He did
barricades.
that?
He
Wow.
did to keep law-abiding citizens off the beaches during COVID. So I sued, and then he opened up our beaches again. So, I've been fighting relentlessly to protect everyday Californians in Huntington
Mhm.
Beach, and when I'm Attorney General, I'm going to continue that fight.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so I think too big to rig, that is very important message, and I think it is possible, right? I mean, we never had a Republican statewide elected official ever since Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Right.
And I think last time, I think I forgot his name. What was it? Lanny Chan. He was
Yeah,
running
Lan
for
Chen. Yep.
state controller, and he got actually major periodicals endorsement too, like
Yeah.
LA Times, but he
Yeah.
still didn't get it. Did you get any like left-wing media endorsements?
No. No.
I mean like
No,
LA Times or
it's
I
a
mean
little
like
early for
major
that.
article, mainstream media.
Yeah. It's a little early for that right now in
Okay.
my race.
Yeah.
That'll happen in August and September, I'm sure, but no, like right now, no. It's mostly law enforcement, it's other elected officials, it's business people, business community. So we're doing quite well. I don't need the left-wing
Mhm.
media to endorse me.
But I do think that you should do a lot of interviews, like
Yes.
what President Trump did.
Yeah.
He always appears on NBC, ABC, CBS, even though they're very super hostile
Right.
against him. Because I
Right.
think his approach is, I didn't understand it either, but his approach was always to persuade. I mean, there must be left-wing people who can be persuaded, or
Right.
a moderate, or an independent voter out there.
Yeah.
So, I think, because I really think it's important. This race is really important, and I really, personally, I want to tell my audience to vote for you.
Thank you.
And I personally, endorse you as well. I mean, let's
Thank
go to
you.
the homelessness issue. We see
Yeah.
homelessness all the time. I mean, it's like a new lifestyle for us that we
Yeah.
have to just put up with it. I
Yeah.
don't know what the number is. Is it 100,000? I mean, 200,000, up and down California. I mean, I don't even know the specific numbers anymore. And
Yeah, well, by percentage, they're saying as much as half of the country's homeless live in California. So,
wow,
the
half of them.
reality, the reality is that that with good enforcement of the law, you can reduce homeless population. And we did this in Huntington Beach. We were tough on the law and we reduced our homeless population. And it wasn't because we just simply pushed the homeless to a different location. We got them up off the street.
Hmm.
We got them into county level services. So they got food, shelter, they got counseling, they got mental health, they even got legal support, right? Like they got everything that they needed. And then oftentimes we got them back home, and it's because we enforced the law.
Hmm.
We can do this throughout the state of California. Like I said, remember, I have purview over all 58 sheriff's departments and then all 58 district attorney's offices. So I absolutely can I can do a lot of great work statewide, just like I did in Huntington Beach, to
Hmm.
reduce the homeless population.
Hmm.
It is not something that we have to live with on the one hand, and then on the other hand, it's not something that we just need to throw millions and billions of dollars at. We actually just need to roll up our sleeves and do the work.
Yeah, I think we spent $24 billion and we just don't know, I mean, where that money all went. I mean,
Yep.
even in city of LA, I think they spent $400 million.
Yep.
Spencer Pratt talked about it, and even LA City Councilman, I mean, he's my friend, John Lee. He's a Korean American councilman. They both told, I mean, John Lee told me that the reason of homelessness is actually 99% drug problem. It's not even
Yeah.
like, do you agree
Yeah.
with that assessment? That
I
99%
do.
is a
I
drug
do. I
problem?
mean, I do. It's hard to judge them all because there are some innocent homeless out there. But
I bet.
oftentimes,
Yeah.
oftentimes the innocent homeless, they're actually in RVs or they're sleeping in their
Mhm.
cars. Oftentimes, it's sort of the ones that are mentally disturbed or have drug addictions or whatever, who live out exposed in an unsheltered way
Mhm.
in any form. So there's a variety out there, but notwithstanding, there's a way through enforcement to get them up off of the street
Mhm.
and get them into services, and like I said, frankly, get them back home. So
Uh,
it's just look, it's so funny. Like our governments, like they just think like, well, let's just throw more money at it. No, like why don't you just roll up your sleeves and enforce the laws that are on the books? It's not a whole lot different than the border issue, the southern border issue for the nation. Like for years and years, we heard under Obama and then we heard under Biden that we needed comprehensive immigration reform because our system was broken, and the only way to stop the inflow at the border was to get comprehensive immigration reform.
mhm.
And then Trump comes in and says, no, you don't need comprehensive anything. We already have the laws that are on the books. We just need to enforce the laws in the books. And then lo and behold, you get a new sheriff in town. Trump takes office, and then suddenly the border's closed. It's
You're
not
right.
porous anymore because the laws are on the books.
Mhm.
The laws work when they're
And Washington,
enforced.
D.C. is super safe. I was just
Right.
there a couple times this year,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
really clean, and it's unimaginable.
Right.
And just the leader changed the whole fabric of the city, and I
Right.
really wish that things can be changed. Are you going to investigate the fraud, the waste, fraud, and abuse regarding the homelessness? Not just the homelessness, the California high-speed bullet,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the rail project. It's just ridiculous.
A
I
thousand percent.
I was just in Japan, and this Shinkansen, it's super impressive, and I
Yeah.
just don't imagine that happening here in California.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
it's going to be investigated, and I can tell you this: justice for me on this issue is not lengthy and protracted investigations that lead to nowhere.
Mhm.
Uh, Justice is going to be swift. It's going to be diligent. People are going to go to prison, and frankly, I'm going to use the criminal justice system to find the yachts and the mansions and the small islands and the bank accounts, and I'm going to liquidate all of that and return the money back to the taxpayer.
Hmm. So there is like this homeless industrial complex, this
Right. Yeah.
taxpayer waste industrial complex that's going on in California. And I think that's why, I mean, I really hate it whenever they have put these ballots to raise our taxes, because I know that it's going to be another waste. And I think this is just, the insurance fraud and all these things. It should be really cleaned up.
Yeah.
And we can't expect federal government to fix this, right? We have to fix by our own, right?
Most of what you're seeing from the federal government in California, with all of their federal investigations into hospice, into homeless, into elections, into even chiefs of staff for Newsom and Becerra, all of these federal investigations
Hmm.
and indictments, that these are state issues.
Yeah.
So where is our attorney general on this? These are state issues. So our attorney general should be investigating these and bringing charges of his own, but he's
Mhm.
not.
Mm. What do you think about California? I mean, Governor Gavin Newsom and his wife Jennifer Newsom. They are both being investigated by the DOJ.
Mhm.
Can you kind of elaborate on that? I bet you know a little bit more than us.
Well, we know I know what's in the public domain. So basically, allegations are that Newsom, like all of the other channels where waste, fraud, and abuse ended up occurring, Newsom basically funneled money, taxpayer money, to his wife's nonprofits, and then his wife would take a handsome salary. And so there's just a lot of issues there. There are a lot of questions about corruption, abuse of taxpayer money, misappropriation of taxpayer money. So we'll wait to see. These are the allegations. We'll wait to see what comes of the investigation.
Hmm.
We'll wait to see what's on the audio that was obtained by the federal government through wire. So we will see what happens. But yeah, it doesn't look good for Newsom. And frankly, it doesn't look good for anybody else in his circles as well. I mean, even I'm hearing that Bonta may be implicated in that investigation
Uh-huh.
as well. But we will see. I don't know, but we'll
Got
see.
it. Okay. Do you think the environmental issues are kind of dropping down a little bit more? I mean, a little bit less. It used to be like climate change all the time, every single day almost. Do you think that
Yeah.
issue has been on the back burner a little
Well,
bit?
only because these more pressing issues
Yeah.
of widespread corruption. I mean, a lot of people are calling California a criminal enterprise. I mean,
I
that's
think it
honestly
is.
like,
I think it is.
yeah. I mean, literally, I've heard that on the
Hmm.
campaign trail so much that California government is a criminal enterprise.
Hmm.
So there are these pressing issues. Nick Shirley has
Nick,
exposed a lot. And check this out. I mean, look, a couple things. One, Nick Shirley actually didn't tell the state leadership anything they didn't already know. The state
Mhm.
auditor came out with a report that said the waste, fraud, and abuse that we're hearing
Exactly.
about, the
Right.
nearly
Uh-huh.
$425 billion,
Hmm.
that Bonta and Newsom knew about it years ago and
Hmm.
deliberately chose to
Hmm.
do nothing about it. They did
Hmm.
not want to investigate it, right? So there's that. And then on the other hand, talk about corruption in Sacramento. Mia Bonta, Rob Bonta's wife, pushed this legislation to criminalize the work that Nick Shirley is doing.
That
Criminalize.
was just maddening.
Yeah, and I mean that's a
We
blatant
can't even
attack.
report about
That's a
corruption.
First Amendment issue. That's a First Amendment issue, and yet Rob Bonta's quiet on that as well. He's absent on that. So we have an attack on our constitutional rights. We have an attack on our everyday life, our way of life. We have high crime. We have high homeless. We have high taxes, high gas prices. The list goes on and on and on. It's getting pretty unbearable. And kudos to Californians who have stuck with it so far. They have not broken. They have stuck with it. And I'm asking them to vote for me. We can get a change here in California, and a change with the Attorney General's office is absolutely essential. It's absolutely critical to changing
Mhm.
California.
Uh-huh. Do you want to talk about the Bontagate a little bit about your opponent? What kind of a corrupt situation that he's in right now?
Sure, yeah. So we have a little meme on my social media where he's hugging Sheng Tao and Andy Duong, and also Eileen Wang, the former
Hmm.
mayor of
Eileen Wong, I
Arcadia.
interviewed her a couple years ago. I couldn't believe it.
Oh
She
my
was a
gosh.
Chinese spy.
Yeah, she's a Chinese spy. So he's in this meme, he's hugging all three of these individuals, and above him is a caption that says, "I have more friends who have been federally indicted than you." So it's a little bit of a joke about the fact that he has really bad friendships, really bad associations, political associations. A lot of the people in his circles have been federally indicted. And then he also, too, has spent $500,000 on his own criminal defense attorneys when the FBI came around to ask him some very, very difficult questions. So the bottom line is he's got a lot of trouble on his own. He's running from the law in his own right. And so, therefore, frankly, he's disqualified and should not be
He
the
shouldn't be.
top cop in the state of
Mhm.
California.
You're right. So, where can our audience support you? If they wanna send some fundraising. I mean, they would
Yep.
like to know your events, where it's gonna be
Yes.
held, if it's gonna be, because I have my audience cross country, but mostly in California. I mean,
Yeah.
so they
And
would like
and
to
if
know.
you're outside of California and you want to support as well, because California matters to the entire nation, we will happily accept your support. We will welcome it. I
Oh, so
have
you can
over
get money from out of
Yes.
state too. Okay,
Yes. Just not out of the country, but out of the
okay,
state,
okay.
yes.
Out of
So
the state you
I,
can.
I've
Okay.
received donations from 40 other states.
I would
So
think you would. Yeah.
yes, so a lot of support from other states have come in. And so they can go to gates4ag.com. That's Gates, the number
Hmm.
4ag.com, and they can click on the donate button, make a donation there. They
Okay.
can also go through the pages and learn about more about my
Hmm.
campaign and what we're doing.
Hmm.
So, and then you can find me on social media, obviously. I'm on X, I'm
Okay.
on TikTok, I'm on
Hmm.
Instagram. Just search for Michael
Hmm.
Gates, Attorney General, and you'll find us.
I'll put all the links, I'm gonna
Thank
put it
you.
every day so people can know it, I
Thank
mean,
you.
I think people should, I think most of the people tend to get sucked into the national politics, it's just
Yes.
there, right, in front
Yep.
of you. And sometimes, it's not easy to know the local
Right.
politics. Even for me as a journalist, I had to go out of my way to even like radio shows, they're mostly focusing on national politics. I mean, there are certain shows that talk about local, city and also statewide,
Yeah.
but it makes the voters or the readers or the viewers to put a little bit more effort. They have
Yeah.
to go out of their way to know these issues. So
Right.
I think
Well, thank you.
yeah, yeah. So any last word you want to say to our audience?
No, this is an opportunity for California to have a real lawyer. I've tried many multi-million-dollar cases at trial. I've argued many appeals. I've argued in various federal district courts around the country. I've been in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I've been in the State Court of Appeals. I'm even certified as a member of the United States Supreme Court
You're right.
Bar. So if called upon to argue a case tomorrow before the U.S. Supreme Court, I could. So this is an opportunity to have a real lawyer. People know me in Huntington Beach and Orange County or Southern California as a fighter for everyday Californians, because I've been fighting for everyday Californians for years, taking on
Hmm.
Sacramento in very, very big battles, epic battles, and I'm happy to do so. I plan to go to Sacramento not to make friends, but I know I'm going to make some enemies because I'm going to continue to fight for everyday Californians when I'm Attorney General. So thank you for the support. Anything that you can do, go to my website, gates4ag.com, and
Hmm.
follow me on social media. I would greatly appreciate it.
Hmm.
And the Asian community, the Korean
Yeah.
community in particular, you must know that when I am Attorney General, you will have a friend in the Attorney General's office. We are going to end the discrimination throughout the state of California. You may not know this, but the California Department of Justice, which is the Attorney General's department, has a civil rights division. And yet Rob Bonta has done nothing with that civil rights division. We still see discrimination with college admissions, with scholarship
Right.
awards, with even the way that criminal cases are handled,
Hmm.
where hate crimes against Asians are not taken seriously. So I'm going
Yeah.
to end all of that. Every Asian population, whether it's Korean,
Uh-huh.
Vietnamese, Chinese, they must know that when I'm Attorney General, they will have a friend in the Attorney General's office.
Uh-huh. Do they still struggle going to like UCLA or
Mhm.
USC? They do, right?
Yep.
They have to go
Yep.
out of state because
The
of the influx
discrimination.
of international students and right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
also
And the discrimination. Yep.
yes, and I
Yep.
think yeah, okay, got it. Is there any phone number that people can call just out of curiosity? I mean,
They can email me at gates4ag@gmail.com. That's
mhm,
Gates, the number 4ag@gmail.com.
at gmail.com. Okay, got it. Thank you very
Thank you.
much, sir. And the election day is it November 3rd?
Yep.
November 3rd. Okay, and your website shows schedule of the upcoming events as well, right?
We're going to start adding that as well, although we're still planning our calendar, so things are in flux. But
Okay.
yes,
Okay, thank
yes,
you very much
yes.
and Godspeed, Michael.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.